I'm Charlie Smith, the editor of Pancouver and the Toronto Spark. I'm pleased to be joined by Chynna Lewis. She's a pop and R&B vocalist who was born in Taiwan and lives in Toronto, sorry. Chynna's EP, What Are Friends For, has been spotlighted on CBC Radio One and in Exclaim. She will perform at Harbourfront Centre as part of Taiwan Fest Toronto, and it's part of the festival's Sinophone series on the concert stage, which begins at 6:30 p.m. on August 24th. Hello, Chynna.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, very well. It's great to have you here. Now, as someone who left Taiwan at the age of 11, how does it feel to know that you will be performing at Taiwan Fest in Toronto?
It's wild. I wish I could, go back in time and give this vision of this current future, this present day, and show it to that 11-year-old and you know, show her what's to come, because it's a homecoming of sorts to be able to play, not just to be at Taiwan Fest, but to be doing something that I love, playing music and in front of a Taiwanese audience. And yeah, I'm very excited, very, very excited.
Wonderful. And can I ask which area of Taiwan you grew up in?
I grew up just south of Kaohsiung,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
just sort of this closer to the southern tip of that sweet potato shaped island. So yeah, southerner.
Interesting. Now, I'd like to ask you about one of the songs on your EP, Asleep.
Sure.
There's a
hmm
very haunting version on YouTube, and it was recorded, as you know, in Trinity St. Paul's Church. And
hmm
can you talk about the origins of that song?
Yeah. I love that video. I've done a few um live videos like that, and I can't say I love all of them. That's a really hard thing for an artist to love what they make, but I'm really proud of that one. And the space, the Trinity St. Paul's is such a beautiful church, and the acoustics in there and just the way it was shot. Yeah, that song was born out of a rough patch in a relationship that I'm I was in. And you know uh it is probably, I want to say, probably my favorite song off of that EP. Everyone seems to like different ones, but that one wasn't the lead single by any means, but for me that was one of my favorites. And you know um the the lyrics are very much about, are you still there, or do you still want to put in this effort, because relationships are so much about the choice of choosing each other and the choice of choosing to love each other. And um it's a very kind of stubborn, demanding message of, don't you dare give up on this, and don't you dare get lazy with this, because if we're going to make it, then don't fall asleep. Don't sleep on this, prioritize this. So yeah, that's what that song is about.
And what were you trying to do musically with the song to kind of reinforce that message?
Um, that's a great question. I didn't really think about that sequence of the riff, the do 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 do. It felt, when I wrote that riff, the song and the lyrics came at the same time. It doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes the chords happen and then you later on add words, or perhaps you have a set of lyrics and then you add, you know, um, a a musical background to it. But for that one, I think I was feeling sad and in a low place, and feeling like perhaps I was caught in this downward spiral. And it's dark. The song sounds dark, and I don't typically write very dark songs, actually. But that one just matched my feeling. It's like some darkness, some anger in there. Um, but yeah, I think that's what we were trying to do for sure.
Well, I'll move to the next one, the title track,
Hmm.
What Are Friends For?
Hmm.
And the video opens with you lying in a field, then it flashes to other women and kind of conveying the importance of friendship. And I'm wondering what inspired this song.
I think I think a lot of people may not know this, but this song is about it's coming from the perspective of a woman of color. You know,
Mhm.
so so much of society it's not as much now, but so much of society expects something different from women of color, expects more, and uh, sort of expects a strength, like an unspoken strength in a lot of women of color. I think a lot of black women, a lot of Asian women, go through this, and the song is not the women that I chose to be in that video were all these strong women of color that I know have felt how I feel about friends not seeing them and seeing their needs and their vulnerabilities and their humanity as much. And the song was born out of during the pandemic, when there was a lot of social disparity, and during the Black Lives Matter movement, during um, Stop Asian Hate, there was I mean, at that time, it was just so messed up. Everyone was so, it was a really tough time for everybody. So I think it gave me a chance to like express that anger of and that frustration of, one line was, you know me so well when you want something from me, but you're never there to help when I'm the one in need. Um, so it's very much talking about like, real friends go through those tough conversations with you, and real friends stick by you and they don't ghost you and leave your side when you're going through that.
And why do you think it is? It suggests to me that you think that women of color are sometimes reduced to only a portion of who they might be, rather than being seen in all of their manifestations. And I'm wondering if you've thought about why that might be the case.
Yeah, a very deep question. I think we could do a whole interview on that, but just some thoughts that come to mind now are um I think a lack of familiarity and just a lack of effort to familiarize yourself with themselves, with um just people of a different culture, or people who come from a different background and have gone through different pains that they haven't gone through. Like, I can't relate to your problem, I can't relate to your pain, because my mother and my father and my grandparents and my ancestry doesn't I can't relate to your pain. And I think that is the at the core of it. The issue here is that I don't need to go through your pain to understand and empathize your path. That's the job of us as humans, is to put ourselves in the shoes of other people's stories and to try and feel how they felt. And living in Canada, it is a predominantly Caucasian society, and there's always this feeling of people just don't really get it, or perhaps don't want to get it because it's uncomfortable, you know,
Mhm.
uncomfortable to like face some of the stuff that has come up. Um, but
Do you
yeah,
think it also reflects, like, in addition to what you're saying, a lack of curiosity too?
yeah, for sure. I think people
Hmm.
just want to stay comfortable. They want to stick with what they know, and they don't want to go there because, like I said, it is uncomfortable to change. And like, even in my relationship, my partner's Caucasian and I'm Taiwanese, and there's a lot of things that we've gone through just as a couple, trying to see each other from where we come from and why we're built the way we are built. But if it's difficult for two people who love each other, it's extremely difficult for a society to do that. And that's why we need, interviews like this and platforms like Taiwan Fest and stories told about all kinds of different voices and archetypes so that people can understand and relate and yeah, be educated about all the different types of people out there.
And you had three other tracks on the EP:
Hmm.
Walk Away, No Light, Where I Left You. Um, are there any of those that you'd like to kind of spotlight or talk about in terms of their meaning or um, significance or even the musicianship?
Um, hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I feel
It's
like you
okay.
have.
You don't have to answer all the questions. So
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, maybe I'll move on to the your memories of growing up in Taiwan. And you're in the South, and that's the green area of Taiwan, and the it's a little more, has its own culture. What would you like people to know about growing up in southern Taiwan in the Kaohsiung area?
Hmm. What would I like people to know? I think Taiwan is one of the less known countries in the Asian countries. There's some of the very touristy ones like Japan and Korea and even like China and yeah, I think Taiwan is less known. Like Thailand is often visited. But yeah, I'd like for people to know that Taiwan is so sick. Like Taiwan is filled with um first of all, I feel like Taiwanese people are really warm. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah,
But
I
Taiwanese
spent a lot of
people,
time with them. they're
yeah,
they're
Taiwanese
they're
people
very
are,
sweet and considerate.
yes, and like egoless in a way where when you meet them, it kind of feels like you're meeting someone that you already have met before. So people in Taiwan are very eager to meet new people and
Yeah, it's very outward oriented is my perception, and maybe it's as a history of a trading and the waves of colonization, but for whatever reason, there's a real connection to the outside world.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, Taiwanese people are very open, love food. Love food. Food is the centerpiece. So if you go to Kaohsiung, there's I mean, in the town that I'm from, Gangshan, they're known for their lamb.
Mhm.
A lot of lamb, great seafood because we're right on the coast. Like really fresh seafood and beautiful nature and um where I'm from is a pretty small town and Kaohsiung is more of a metropolis. But yeah, I mean if you go to Taiwan, definitely like drive. It's you can subway from one
Yeah,
end
you go
of
from the south to the north on one line. Yeah.
one line and like in not a very long time. So yeah, just I guess I want people to know that it's prepare to eat, prepare to see some cool nature, and prepare to be around a lot of people in certain areas, and then just see some cool sights.
And how did you become a musician, China?
I come from a pretty like casually musical family. Like everyone in my family sings. Like has everyone has like really great sense of pitch. My dad taught me guitar when I was younger. My older brother played drums. My younger brother played guitar. My other brother is like makes like an electronic music. Um, so there was always music. I took piano lessons and, just different lessons. Uh yeah. I don't know if I ever made a conscious choice that I would go into music. It was just something that I'd really like doing. And especially moving back to moving back to Canada, music became not just something that I did. Music was survival. Music was like when I was going through the hardest time of blending into this culture and trying to belong and not belonging, music was a place where I could express that sadness and the missing of home. And there's still so much of that coming up now in music for me that yeah, that's I think that's why. I don't know if your question was why did you choose, but yeah, that's definitely why.
Yeah. And and what was the transition like moving to Canada at the age of 11?
It was hard. It was
Mhm.
hard. 11, you were young enough to adapt, but you're old enough to perfectly understand what you are losing. And to be honest, like this like makes me extremely emotional even just like bringing it up now. There's a part of the show on Saturday coming up where we're going to pay homage to my grandmother and my mom. Um cuz if it was hard for me, it was way harder for my mom. Um and yeah, that transition is still something I'm unpacking. It was very difficult to be fully formed as a person, have attachments to your language, to your culture, to the streets you grew up on, to know where things were, and then to be plucked out of that completely and flung into something that I was completely unfamiliar with. And at 11 you're going to school, you're going to grade 7, going to grade 8. It's when you're the most self-conscious, even just like that aside, you're so self-conscious at that age about belonging and blending in.
Mhm.
So to be of a visible minority in a predominantly Caucasian place, I lost a lot of myself. I really cut out this part of me that was Taiwanese and I just hid it away. I was like, no, nobody, this doesn't belong here. I don't want people to know about this. I don't want, this is like a protected thing at home. This is for me and this is not to be exposed to the rest of the world. And yeah, really hard because then that's me. That's me that I'm hiding away from people. And so now I'm really learning to broadcast that and
Now you're expressing it through music.
yeah, expressing it through music, exactly.
And I'm also wondering if you had to go through the process of coming up with an English name when you moved to Canada. And if
No,
so, no, you
no,
didn't. Okay, is China your Taiwanese, or I guess Mandarin
no.
name?
My dad is Canadian.
Oh,
He's from Canada, so he met
oh,
my
so he moved to Taiwan,
yes. So
and you were born in Taiwan, and then you came back.
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay,
So I'm fully Taiwanese. But
yeah,
my dad, when he came into my life when I was pretty young, he named me after I don't know if you know that band, the Wilson Phillips.
yes,
Yeah, they do that song. Someday somebody get it, did it, and then wanna say goodbye. The one of the singers is China Phillips. I want to say China Phillips or China Wilson. I can't remember. One of the Wilson Phillips.
yeah.
But her name is spelled Chynna. My dad just was like, "That's a nice name. Let me name my Asian daughter China."
But it is interesting. Is there anything you'd like to add about your music or where you see your career going from here?
Yeah. I would say that I would let everybody know that I have an upcoming album. I'm currently recording an album, my debut album. And I'm playing a lot of the music at Harborfront on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's very much an album that represents the sound that I have found for myself. The first EP, it was very much self-produced, so it was a lot of searching, it was a lot of learning how to do things, and when I listen to that EP, definitely have very ambivalent feelings. Like, I'm proud, and it does represent me, but um, this new project has a lot more collaboration. So, people in the music community here in Toronto, I have lots of writers who have collaborated with producers, and session musicians, like very amazing artists that have breathed life into this project. So it's yeah, I'm really excited about this project, and
Does
keep
it
an
have
eye.
a title?
No, not yet. Not yet.
And
We're
what about a timeline for release?
we're hoping winter of 2025.
So how many songs have you written already for the new album?
Oh, I mean, I've written, oh, like 30, 40 songs.
Wow.
It'll be boiled down
So
to,
you'll pick the ones
yeah,
that fit
probably, I'm
together.
gonna
Yeah.
say probably 14, 13, 14 songs
Wow.
this album. So yeah, really excited. Keep an eye out for it. It'll be coming out hopefully sooner than later. Yeah.
Well, this is wonderful, Chynna. Um, I'll let you go now, and thank you so much for speaking to me. I've been
Thank
speaking
you.
speaking to Toronto musical artist Chynna Lewis, who's working on a new album. She will perform at Taiwan Fest Toronto on August 24th, and it starts at 6:30 p.m.
Yes, and it's free. Come.